Being in your 20s can be an extremely confusing time, and I know because I am in them right now, even though someone said I look like I'm in my 30s the other day on one of my TikTok videos, but I digress. I feel like I've started spotting now where people are making the most mistakes with their money, so I thought I'd share with my audience what I'm spotting and how I'm dealing with it as someone in their 20s. I'm going to be giving you 7 of my biggest tips so you can live the life you want, not one that someone is designing for you. And before I get into it, there's a lot of contrary information on the internet, so don't take this as gospel. This is only my opinion, and it should stay that way whether you believe me or you don't. Just go with whatever your heart says. So on to number 1, you care more about status right now rather than a long-term prosperous future. Let me simplify this for you. You care more about how you look and are perceived by others compared to what you actually value, and this is causing you to spend on things that you don't actually want. You're basically just doing it because you think it will impress someone else. Instead, what I've noticed is that people don't actually care what car you drive, what house you live in, what clothes you have on. They only care about themselves. You know, Morgan Housel, the best-selling author of Psychology of Money, once said, when you see someone with a nice car, you never think, wow, that person is cool. You always think you would look good in that car. Do you see the irony? No one cares about the guy in the car. They care about how they would look in the car. And I think that's so true. We only ever think about ourselves 24/7. You never think about the guy who walked past 20 minutes ago with a Prada coat on. So rather than focusing on status, start trying to think, how can I educate myself the best? How can I start building wealth? How can I start building the skills to become a better person in my life so the things that really matter can happen? Really ask yourself, what means more to you, impressing someone in your hometown or building a life for you and your family in the future? Then you'll know the answer, and a perspective change is all you needed. And now on to number 2, which is not investing in yourself or assets enough. Now, you've probably heard the term investing in yourself far too much on social media and owning assets, but I'm going to show you what that truly means and put it into some metrics for you. So first, let's look at investing in yourself. I personally like to define investing in yourself as knowledge capital. This term was first coined by Eric Hanushek and Luja Wosman. This is essentially where you invest in things that are going to improve your skills, your knowledge, your innovations, your processes and techniques. Anything from courses, books, webinars, seminars, these are all things that count as investing in yourself. And although you won't get an instant return on investment, over time you are probably going to get a 10 or 100 or 1,000 return on investment over time when you start applying your knowledge capital. As for what you actually invest in, books, seminars, webinars, should be down to you. I think it is personal for everyone, but I think you should find something you love that can be monetized and then go all in on one thing. Because most likely, if you're not interested in what you're doing, you will give up at the first chance. If one bad thing happens, you're probably going to give up. So it's better to pick something you love. As for investing in assets, most people think that you have to be rich in order to start investing in assets, but that's just not the case. You can become a very wealthy individual on a very average salary. Even if you're literally putting in such a small contribution in every month, the compound interest that will earn over time is something that will shock you. All you need to do is go onto a compound interest calculator and see what some of the numbers can add up to. And while you're building your career, your business, your side hustle, your investments are working in the background for you. And yeah, you guessed it, if you start building a business or a side hustle that takes off, you can speed up that investing process and retire a lot earlier if you start investing even more each month. Next, the third mistake that people make in their 20s with money is not having any systems in play or automation. Because I always say to people, and this may ruffle a few feathers, but you should learn how to manage your money before you learn how to earn a lot of money. For example, Charles Barkley revealed that 80% of pro athletes go broke after retirement, and there was a story about a binman who was 19 years old who won almost £10 million, and he wasted it all and he had to go back to being a binman. It doesn't matter how much money you make, if you don't know how to manage that money and have systems and automation in play to help you along, you will just end up broke. So what systems would I recommend anyone having in their 20s to make sure they don't go broke and they don't get into loads of credit card debt? First of all, I'd recommend direct debits and standing orders for all your fixed costs, savings and investments. It just makes the process so much more simple. You don't have to do this manually. You can set it up automatically on the first of every month or whenever you get paid and just let it happen. This way you won't have to worry that bills aren't being paid on time, and you will probably save and invest more when things are automatic. Think of it, most of the people in the UK are probably leaving it until the end of the month to save their money. You might even be doing it, but what you can do instead is save money first and then work with whatever is left over, because what you'll find is you can probably manage it. On to our fourth money mistake to avoid in your 20s, and that is getting into any high interest consumer debt. This could be anything from overspending on designer clothes, getting new trainers, even though I know you already have enough in your wardrobe, and even just using buy now, pay later services like Klarna. Because when you're borrowing money on a credit card or using buy now, pay later, you're often borrowing money from someone that isn't you, and it's often a very expensive task to repay. These services often make you feel like you can afford it because it's such a small payment, but that's how they trap you. That is how they make their money. A few small payments here and there might not feel like much, but then you're often juggling a lot of different Klarna payments, and you're wondering how you're even going to pay this back. And then you're going to be compounding interest over time, which is going to cost you a lot of money. The problem is, high interest debt doesn't just cost you money, it limits your future. Instead of saving and investing for things you want in your life, you're stuck paying things you don't even care about anymore. On to number 5, don't get surprised by predictable expenses. Look, you know your anniversary is coming up, you know Christmas is coming up, you know birthdays are coming up, but you always leave it until the last minute to pay everything off, and then you're getting yourself in debt. Whereas a great way to combat this is by having different saving pockets for different goals of yours throughout the year. Let's jot up a quick example. Let's say you wanted to go on a holiday in 6 months' time that cost £400. You do 400 divided by 6, which is 66, and then you'd have to save £66 a month up until the day you go on holiday. This is also something known as a commitment device. You are putting a tangible goal on your savings, which makes it far less likely that you're going to withdraw from your savings because you'll know it messes up your goals. Up next at number 6 for the mistakes to avoid in your 20s is not letting the big two eat up all of your monthly income. Any guesses of what the big two are? Well, I'm going to spoil it. It is your car and your house. For the majority of people in the UK, your house and your car is the most expensive thing in your monthly budget, and it probably should be, but don't let it make you house or car poor. Look, I totally understand that cost of living is an absolute shambles at the minute. Somewhere in London to rent is an absolute joke, but a guideline for reference is you should be aiming to get anywhere from 50 to 60% for all of your fixed costs, including your house and your car. If you can stick to under 60% for all of your fixed costs, this includes your rent, your bills, your food, and your car, things like that, subscriptions as well, then you will be fine. You won't have any trouble saving and investing and enjoying your life at the same time. You see, sometimes people choose the big fancy home with the massive mortgage or the 25 plate Range Rover with a huge finance payment, but as we said before, you're playing a status game, which you know is a mug's game. You see, people don't actually care about the home or car you have. They might compliment it once when you first move in or you first get the car, but after that, no one cares again. It's a bitter reality, but as Morgan Housel put it best, define the game you're playing and make sure your actions aren't being influenced by people playing a different game than you are. And on to the last mistake, which is number 7, not tracking your expenses or your net worth. Now, everyone in the personal finance industry, from Facebook to Instagram to TikTok to YouTube, will tell you that a budget is so important. And you might dismay this because you think, It's so restrictive. You can't actually do anything when you've got a budget. But when I tell you having a budget is more freeing than not having one, I mean it. The thing is, when you start tracking your expenses, you can then redirect money to where is most important to you. You're probably spending on things right now that you don't care about. When having a budget, you can actually redirect that money to places that actually matter for you. With budgeting, it doesn't have to be difficult. I use Ramit Sethi's conscious spending plan, and then you put in all your numbers, track your expenses from the last 3 months, and then get the averages of your fixed costs, your savings, your investments, and what you spend on your fun. Put them all in there and see what your numbers are. Then if you spot something in your fixed costs, for example, like a subscription, you can get rid of that and then redirect that money to your savings, to things that actually matter. Although it might seem tough in the beginning to get this down, after a while you'll notice that you probably only have to check this budget once or twice a month. And as for your net worth, this is something you can track in the budget that I was just talking about a minute ago. It's not just for expenses, you can track your net worth as well. And the reason that I do this is because it shows my budget is working every month. If my net worth is going up, it can be extremely motivating to see your net worth go up as well. Putting your expenses and your money off now is only going to cause trouble down the line. And just remember, there are people in much worse financial positions than you. So you can definitely sort this out and get out of the rut you are in right now. So there you have it. They're my 7 mistakes to avoid in your 20s. And I just hope this reaches the right audience from 18 to 29 years old. You can change your financial future. It might take a bit of work, but honestly, you can do it. And just remember, don't compare yourself to anyone else. It's your story, your journey, your life, your future, your family. This is something that you're taking action on now, and they are probably not doing it as well as you think. Even if it might seem like it on the surface, they're probably not. So if you enjoyed this video and want more personal finance content for 18 to 29-year-olds, make sure to give this a like and subscribe below. And yeah, I'm really enjoying this YouTube channel, so subscribe for more, and I'll see you soon.